So y'all, let's go ahead and jump in. Thank you guys for registering for my session. This is transforming teenagers or students from hurting to healing by increasing relational intelligence and emotional intelligence. And so my name is Cordelius Williams. I have my master's in educational leadership. Just a little bit about me. I have my master's in educational leadership. I've been in education for 10 years. Now, I have a very unique calling when it comes down to the students. I teach math, but I was never there for math. I believe that math is a metaphor for life. Having a black male teach math and meeting these students, they always put me in the economically disadvantaged classes, and so which carried predominantly African American students. And so meeting them where they are and the thing that they struggle the most allows me to teach them that they can do the hard thing. And so it's a metaphor because if they can accomplish math, then they can accomplish and pass anything in life. My business is Coach Williams University. What I do for schools, I contract out with schools as well. I'm a very busy guy. I contract out with schools and I help them increase their academics, their behavior. Hey, it's good morning, good afternoon. I help them increase their academics, lower their behavior issues, and increase their overall school culture by teaching their students, teachers, staff, and parents relational intelligence and emotional intelligence. And what that looks like is I go to a school, I do a big assembly for the students. Everybody, it's 400, 500, 600 students in there at the same time. And yes, I keep them all engaged, obviously. I keep them all engaged. I'm very good at it. And I teach them about trauma. I teach them about how trauma impacts their learning. I talk to them about it, and it's a series of messages. Trauma is not the only one. And then that's my tier 1 instruction. And then I do tier 2 instruction. So I get like 30 to 40 students in a breakout session. These are the students that y'all know how the schools are, right? Where you got 30 to 40 students that's really messing up the culture of that school. I get those students. And I get the students that's middle of the packers, the ones who you typically don't notice. And then I get about 5 to 6 high achievers, the ones that'll drive the conversations for me. And I get them all in one big room and I teach them the how-to what I presented in a big assembly. It's really a beautiful thing. You got to check out my website. I'll show y'all in here in a minute after if I have time. And it's really a beautiful thing to see the kids react the way they react when I talk to them about the root and not the fruit. When I talk to them as a human and not a circus act, okay? And we'll get into that here in just a second. And I also do teacher professional developments. I train teachers about relational and emotional intelligence, and I train teachers about trauma because let's be honest, we are all chronologically adults, but we have been dealing with or have dealt with teenage issues. Amen, somebody? And so that's just what it is. And we overreact based on the issues we never got settled as a teenager. And so that's what I do for schools. And I also do parent nights, and I do the same thing for parents. And it's all for the kids. So that's Coach Williams University. That's what I do. And I call myself the culture coach. This is our foundational quote. This is what I build my life on. This is what I build my career on. And that quote is this: students don't care how much you know until they what? Know how much you care. All right. And that's foundational. I got my master's degree. I'm going to get my doctorate degree. I'm going to do all of that. But do you think these kids care? Absolutely not. They don't even know what a master's and a doctorate is yet, you know? So it doesn't matter how much in education we get it. Y'all, I'm super honest. In education, we get it backwards. A lot of us, we move out of the classroom because we tired of the kids. But how can you move out of the classroom to be a principal when you tired of the kids? You still got to deal with the kids and their parents. And so now that's why the school cultures are so low, because we have people in positions that don't like kids. Okay? And somewhere we lost our care. Somewhere we lost how much we care. Somewhere we did. Now, I know I'm not talking to anybody in this room. In December and January, I lost my why. Couldn't stand it. I was ready to, I was at work, I was mugging everybody and everything, like real talk. I didn't, but I got tapped back into my why. And I got tapped back into care. So this is our foundational quote. What does this mean to you? What does this quote mean to you? Yeah. I could tell them data all of the time. But if I don't care about them as a person, as a human being, none of it matters. They don't care. And so when you ask me, how do I get the economically disadvantaged in math and still stay ahead of the curve for even advanced classes and our learning checks and stuff, that's because the kids will run through a brick wall for me. And they wouldn't bat an eye. And I start with the toughest person in the school. Students are human first and students second. I think in education, we look at them as student first because our jobs are on the line. And so now as a principal, I got to push my math teacher to get better data because my boss is down my neck. And so we look at them as scores. Coach Williams, I had a principal a little while ago. Coach Williams, I understand that these kids are growing socially, but we also need them to grow academically. What? I didn't even explain myself. I said, yes, ma'am, just check my data. That's all I said. Yes, ma'am, check my data. Check my data, you'll see that they're growing academically. But when we look at them through the lens of academics first, then we never get to the root of what we need to get to. And somewhere in education, somewhere in our school system, it's all about letter grades. Like I'm a griller. I love to barbecue, and I look at my grade of meat. Why do we treat these kids like they're a grade of meat? School is one of the first places that students learn to fail. I'm gonna let that one sink in for a minute. Church is the other place. School is one of the first places that adolescents learn to fail. Because now they're struggling in these classes. They failing. Their parents breathing down their neck. Their teacher got an attitude every day. They don't like their job and stuff like that. And so now all of these failing grades become a mindset, and now they think they are a failure because they've never passed before. And they're humans first. School is not for everybody. Let's just go ahead and throw that out there. School is not for everybody. School is just not for everybody. And we have to stop labeling our kids based on their school ability. We have to stop potting and grouping our kids based on their STAR test scores. Because when you think about it, y'all bear with me, and I'm going to get to it after a while too. When you think about it, when we group our kids based on their STAR test scores, it's still segregation. Because the advanced pods are predominantly white with a sprinkle of everybody else. And the regular pods are predominantly black with a sprinkle of everybody else. So we still segregated not by who we are, but by our performance. And you got to think about it, which automatically groups the kids and gives them a certain mindset about their performance. We got to remember that they're students first. They're human. Everybody say human first and students second. Another point to ponder: address the root to get better fruit. Let me explain. Okay, let me explain. We look at our classes and we judge our classes based off of did not meets, approaches, meets, and what? Masters. So we judge the fruit. We also judge the fruit based on their attitudes. Okay, well, this is a frequent flyer. John is always getting in trouble in class. So since John is always getting in trouble in class, my attitude towards him is going to replicate his attitude towards me. And so now we're judging John based on his attitude every day. The attitude is the fruit. The attitude is the fruit. The anxiety, can y'all see that okay? The anxiety is the fruit. The kid that sleep all the time in class is the fruit. Talking back is the fruit. Drama is the fruit. Depression, it's all fruit. And now we're labeling these kids. We're ISSing these kids. We're OSSing these kids, all because of the fruit. When shouldn't we be trained to get to the root? Some of these kids are neglected at home. Some of these kids don't have food in their refrigerator. Some of these kids have no place to sleep. Single parent household. Drama in the household. Low income family. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm about 4 of these right here. The difference between me and most is I was bleeding in plain sight. I was in advanced classes and still hurting. You just couldn't tell I was hurting because I was smart. Somehow in our classrooms, and I want to challenge you today. I'm a coach. I want to challenge you today. in your personal practices, in your personal language? Are you addressing little Johnny by his fruit? Because essentially it's the same thing as judging him based on his skin color. Because when we look at the demographics and when we open up the ISS door, what do we see? Students don't care how much you know until they know how much you. Do we care enough to get down to the root of it? Do we care enough to figure out what's producing the depression? For the remainder of our time together, we're going to be talking about this CARE acronym. We're going to dive deep into how do you create a caring classroom? Okay, how do you create a caring classroom? And I already know what some of you guys are thinking. I could take this back to my campus and it not even work. My goal is not for you to take this back to your campus and it not work. My goal is for you to take it back to your classroom, because lights only work when it's dark. I'm going to say it one more time. So if you got a dark campus, you need to go be a light in your classroom and let your light shine bright on that campus. Because you're not a light in the midst of other lights. It's pointless to have my flash on these cameras right now. Pointless. Why? Because it's what? It's lit. But if I turn these lights off, then the light shines the brightest. So I know your campus suck. I know you got a lot of things to say to your spouse in pillow talk about your boss. But my question is, are you being a light in your room? What's the culture of your room? Are you authentic or are you fake? Are you relatable? Or do you hate your content so much you just come to school and teach it? Do you empower them? Do you empower them, or do you tell them what to do? A lot of times when we say culture, we automatically go to race. Culture is not a race issue. Both me and my wife are both Black. However, we grew up in two different cultures and households. I got compound trauma. I got 3 or 4 traumas, all before the age of 6. My wife has none. My wife has a big family that's close-knit. I don't even talk to my family besides my mom. We have 2 totally different cultures that shapes the way that we parent our kids. Are y'all following what I'm saying? And I think school, we say culture and we say diversity. Forney is becoming a diverse city. No, say what you want to say. There are more African Americans and Black people coming, and others and Hispanics coming to Forney. You know, and it just is what it is. And so when we say, how do we improve our culture? I'm not talking about how we deal with other people that's not our skin tone. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the environment of your room. The values, the beliefs, the behaviors, and the experiences that little Johnny believes in that fuels his behavior. Are y'all following what I'm saying? It's not race. It's not. And we have to understand what culture really is in order to, really address it. All right, y'all, the 5 cars of culture. Okay, if you want to take notes, again, you can take these notes. If you want to take pictures, you can snap it up. I'll kind of stand out of the way, whatever you want to do. The 5 cars of culture. Everybody say classroom management. This is what sets the structure. Now, I don't want you guys to think that there ain't no classroom management in my room, because you come in my room, probably got the best classroom management out of every teacher in our building. Classroom management is not only discipline. You can doubt it. Classroom management is not only discipline. It's how you move around the room. And if this was a workshop, we sit and we would get we would talk about seating arrangement. We would talk about how my seating arrangement facilitates better classroom management. I pod my kids, group of 4. Now again, I got to teach them, but why do I pod my kids in groups of 4? Because I do heterogeneous I do mixed ability groups. All right. And I also teach them how to communicate, teach them how to talk, teach them how to work together, teach them how to collaborate. Again, I go home very tired. It's exhausting doing that to 6th and 7th and 8th graders or whatever grade you teach. It's very exhausting, but it's my job. It's what I signed up for. It's what I do. Classroom management sets the structure. It sets the structure of your classroom. How you walk around your groups. Do you sit now? Okay, you have podium teachers, no knock. You have podium teachers. You have seated teachers. And you have teachers that'll get around and that'll walk around. If I had a more open concept, I'd be moving around a whole lot more, modeling it for you. Classroom management. Everybody say communication. Communication sets the tone, okay? Now I'm about to step on some toes today, all right? Your attitude when you talk to these kids need to go out of the door. You're an adult, they're kids. If you don't talk to these kids, if the way you talk to these kids this year, if their parent was sitting right there and you wouldn't talk to them like that, you don't need to talk to them like that. Because let my son come home and say a teacher got in his face and yelled at him, oh, all hell gonna break loose. Y'all understand what I'm saying? They're people first. How would we feel if our boss came to us and got in our face and yelled at us? What would we do? Yeah. Cry? Yell back? You quit? So why we get mad at our kids for quitting on us when we yell at them? That's called reciprocity. We get what we give. Again, it's tiring when I go home, but my tone don't leave this. I'm a coach. Oh, it can, but my tone don't leave this. Ms. Velocin as my witness. I'm here the whole time. Now I'm energetic. There are days to where I don't feel good. We'll get to that. But your communication, y'all, it sets the tone. Kids, this is an emotional generation. They can feel the hate in your voice. They can feel your disdain in your voice. They can feel your attitude. They can feel that you don't care in your voice. Number 3, consistency. Everybody say consistency. Y'all, I show up the same every day, even when I don't feel good. Okay? I'm consistently Cordarius. Now, Cordarius isn't always positive now. Okay? I need you to understand that. I'm open with my kids. I communicate my emotions with my kids. I communicate what I'm going through with my kids. I tell them, because guess what? Little Johnny gonna have a headache one day, and what he gonna do? Put his head down. Guess what? I'm gonna have a headache one day, and guess what I'm gonna do? Put them on their laptop and leave me alone. So if I can do that as a teacher, why can't they do that as a student? One class period not gonna hurt, fam. We treating this as like this Olympics. These kids ain't gonna remember none of this math. When's the last time you used a squared plus b squared equals c squared? In school. They ain't gonna use it again. But what they are gonna use is their brain, their emotions, their relationships. Number 4, connection. Everybody say connection. It creates the buy-in. I'm corny, I'm cheesy, I know I am. I do it on purpose. I connect with them, everybody, in the way my calling and the skill set that I have, it's there. So it was Bree all year, but I had to get Helen at the beginning of the year. I had to connect with Helen at the beginning of the year more than I did the second semester. Because I connected with her the first semester, she was good for the rest of the year. I was able to leave her alone. And then I was able to go to Riley. And after Riley, I was able to go to Keldrick. And after Keldrick, I was able to go to Man. You know, does that make sense what I'm saying? It's all phases, but you got to be willing to connect. I got to keep moving. Number 5. Everybody say correction. I am not anti-discipline. I am not anti-correction. I am a coach. Football, basketball, track. It's what I do. But I don't do it in a derogatory or condescending way. I correct out of love. All right? 5 culture crushers. Say that 5 times. All right? Number 1, violations. Ooh-wee. They come into the building and violation, take your hoodie off. Violation, stop. Violation, violate. Hey, y'all, we walking. I love what I do. I love what I do. And I'm saying it, and listen, I'm saying it in light, but I need you guys to understand I'm being dead serious right now. And I don't want you guys to get so apprehensive if you are the one who gives violations like they candy. I don't want you to get so apprehensive that you don't hear what I'm saying. So I'm going to kind of check my tone real fast because I'm being serious. Whenever you got a clipboard with violations ready to give them out, y'all, that's called the school to prison pipeline. There's only one person else in society that has a clipboard with white and yellow papers on it, and that's the police officer. And so when they come into the school, and again, remember, you know, we got to think about what side of the tracks in Forney we teach on, all right, depending on where you teach. If you teach on the wrong side of the tracks, those violations mean something because the police just got called to their apartment complex last night. Their parents just got into it last night, domestic violence. And so now they come to school the next day and they get the violation. So what we're doing subconsciously and subliminally, we're teaching them that they ain't no better than what they see anyway. And so now we got this clipboard for every little thing they do wrong. Again, I'm not anti-discipline, but sometimes this is because we don't know what we're doing. We don't have the proper training to work in a diverse culture. We don't have the proper training to work with multi-ethnicities. Again, y'all, this is not accusations, all right? It's just a realization. It's a realization to practices that's not best practices, okay? Apathy is when you stop caring. Lack of preparedness, it's a chaotic lessons in organizations, all right? No humanity, rules matter more than relationships. You abide by this rule instead of respect a relationship type deal. And gaslighting, all right? When everything is the student's fault. Okay, sometimes we don't stop and say, wait, I apologize. Can I get a do better because I messed up? And you know what? It ain't all your fault. I had a bad lesson. I didn't teach interquartile range this year because I ain't know how to do it. And then my kids come up to me, coach, how I do it? Coach, how I do it? Coach, how I do it? And I'm getting mad at them. Stop asking me that. Well, you the one who didn't teach it to me. Don't gaslight our kids, y'all. Implicit bias. I got to give you some education now. Implicit bias. Implicit bias is judgment with no context. Implicit bias is saying, okay, that black student's mama is ghetto before you even met her. Or that black student's mama is going to come up here in pajamas, and when they don't, I'm shocked that they don't. Implicit bias is thinking that all Caucasians have it perfect. Yeah. But it's implicit bias because that is systemic knowledge. That's how we grow. That's what we grow up thinking. And y'all, I just grabbed the bull by the horns. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I just say what it is. That's what we think. So when we judge little Jalen with no context, y'all, that's implicit bias. Genuine care is curiosity over assumption. So we could judge Jalen, implicit bias, or we could genuinely care about Jalen to figure out what's going on in his life. Here's the caveat. Talking to my sister who is a principal about this. Here's the caveat. It may take 2 months for Jalen to be open with us because the person who he loved the most hurt him. Trauma. I don't have time to talk about trauma, but I really wanted to. I just don't have time. The person who he loved the most hurt him. And so now he has a problem going into relationships with an authoritative figure because the authoritative figure in his life hurt him. But when we don't care enough to go down there and find out, y'all, I got so many letters at the beginning of the year. So a teacher asked me, Coach Williams, what are you doing in your class? Counseling sessions? Come see, come observe me. And this is why it's important because the students don't care how much you know until they what? Know how much you. And so we have to be trained, y'all. Please don't take my energy as just another guy who don't know what he's talking about. I do. I'm educated behind it. I've done hours of research for this presentation, hours of research behind it. All right. Everybody say authentic. Authenticity authenticity in teaching is showing up as your full self so your students feel permission to do the same. It is not oversharing. It is not being, typo. It is not saying what's on your mind recklessly. Well, I'm just open and honest. And they just gonna get these words because they need to know the truth. They do. But we're adults. They're teenagers. Their medulla oblongata, whatever it's called, just kidding. Their prefrontal cortex, their brain, it doesn't process like adults. And I'm going to get to that here in a minute. We have to watch how we talk. Sometimes it's not the what we say, it's the how. And how we say it automatically closes their ears. And so that's why we got frequent flyers, because have we stopped to think that the way we're doing it is wrong? So authenticity is not about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about being real consistently. Hey, y'all, I'm not having a great day today. My head hurt. Hey, don't come up to here bothering me because you may catch these words. Hey, I'm being honest. Coach, can you tell me what I said at the beginning of class? Oh, you said you don't feel good. Thank you. Can you kind of back away, please? That's still being real. I am sharing with the kid that I'm not feeling it just like them. Amen? Look at me being in church. Amen? Amen? All right. 3 hard truths. All right. Number 1, your students absorb your energy even when you don't explain it. So it's better that you do explain it. Unspoken frustration doesn't disappear, it leaks. Authenticity isn't oversharing, it's refusing to fake it. You can't expect realness from students if you hide behind structure. If students can't breathe if you're holding your breath every day. Y'all understand what I'm saying? All right. You have 6 anchors of authenticity. I'm an author. I love alliteration. All right. You have 6 anchors of authenticity. Your attitude, how you talk. We talked about this a little bit. Your disposition, your aura, like what is leaking out of you. Okay. Your attitude, awareness. Are you aware of yourself? Are you aware of at CKH again? I'm at the door. All right, I'm looking at everybody, eye contact. Everybody that passes my threshold, I'm looking at them. When they walking in the hallway, even if I'm having, y'all know I had an entourage this year, every passing period. I had an entourage every passing period. And even when I'm having a conversation with Serenity, I see the Bree Ariels walking by. How's she doing? How's she doing? How's she doing? Are you aware? Or are you just going to yell at them because they're not learning? Y'all, we are the professionals. We have to look at them and read them like a book. Y'all understanding what I'm saying? Access, all right? Do you have access? Do they have access to you enough to ask you what's wrong with you? Audacity, boldness, okay? Are you bold enough to tell the students what's wrong with you? All right? Alignment. Are you guys in alignment? Can you be held accountable and can they be held accountable? The 6 anchors of authenticity. Do I have permission to be honest and open? Do I have permission to teach you something that you don't know? Okay. Do I have permission to be Cordarius? Okay. All right. So if you get mad at me, remember you gave me permission. All right. Because here we go. Buckle up. It's a lot of information. All right. All right. So what is relatable? What is relatability? Okay. You understand. Go ahead. Go ahead. Somebody read that.
You understand the culture your students come from, and you know how to connect with them.
All right. So y'all, I'm a wordsmith. Okay. And I pay attention to the nuances. And you may see something that I don't see in this too. You understand the culture. That don't mean you understand the race. You understand the culture. There's nothing worse than a teacher that tries to understand race that's not the color. It does me no good to try to understand the white race, like and put my feet in their shoes. It does you no good for whites or Hispanics, whatever, to try to put their feet in the shoes of a black student. Okay, for an example. I got this bad too. I grew up without a mama. Okay. All right. It's not the same. I grew up without a daddy. Okay. It's not the same. And when you tell these kids this, they like, why are you trying to relate to me like that? You can't relate to my experience. Can my experience stand alone by itself, please? Without you trying. Okay. Oh, this is good. Stop trying to hijack their experiences. Let those kids have their own experiences without saying, oh, well, me too, and I turned out fine. No, you didn't. You faking. Respectfully. All right. So you have to understand the culture. That is their values, their beliefs, experiences. When you understand that, then you'll learn how to connect with their culture instead of just trying to fit in. Being relatable is not acceptance of everything in a culture. You don't have to accept everything that these kids are doing. It's not pretending you've lived their story. That's what I just said. It's not changing who you are to fit in. And relatable is not being a mirror. It's being a bridge. Does that make sense? All right. So here we go. All right. A little education. Understand. Y'all leave me alone. Understanding adolescent brain development. I should have dropped a book here. Oh, I forgot. It's a good book. I can't even think about it. I can't even figure it out right now. I try to look it up when y'all do the reflection because it's a very good book. The part of the brain that helps with self-control, handling emotion, and making good decisions is called the prefrontal cortex. It's where you get these headaches at right here. Okay. According to Harvard, that part is still growing until the age of 25. And that's in most men, most young men. Women mature faster than boys. So in women and girls, they mature about 21. I mean, some studies even say that their prefrontal cortex is maturing even at the age of 19 and 20 now. It's a rare occurrence, but for the most part, it's about the age of 25. Coach, why are you telling me this? Because y'all, you have to understand how the brain works of the people whom we're teaching. When you don't understand how the brain works of the people who are teaching, you're not an effective teacher. Well, let me rephrase that. You have room to grow to be more effective. Okay? You have to understand that before you put anything together, you always read the what? The instructions, the manual. So before we try to put these kids together, we need to read their brain. And we're just not educated about education. Y'all, we got into this career because it was easy. We got into this career because we didn't have anything else to do. And I take that personal because I went to college for this. I got my master's in it. And that's not a flex. It's not a flex. It's commitment. It's commitment. It's a calling. And so we got to understand psychology is what this is. The psychology of a teenager. What does that mean? That means that middle and high school students are still learning how to manage their impulses, think ahead, and respond to stress. Why did you respond like that? Who you talking to? They don't know. They don't. Why did you do that? I don't know. Yes, you do know. And I'm demanding an answer right now. They don't know. They're not mature. Coach, yeah, you got to hold them accountable. I know. But accountability ain't condemnation. So when a student blows up or shuts down, it might not be because they are being disrespectful. It might be because their brain hasn't developed the tools to handle pressure the way an adult can. I struggle with that as a parent. I struggle with telling my son to do something and he doesn't do it immediately. He's 6. His brain can't shift as fast as adults' brains can. So now what I practice is wait time. Hey, Deuce, go clean up your room. Okay, Dad. He get up and he go do it. He's processing. Hey, Deuce, go clean up your room. Right now. Get up right now. Like, didn't you hear what I told you? Yeah, he heard it. Can he process it? You just told your kid to stop playing a video game that they love, to go do something that they don't want to do. Give them time to process. Y'all understand what I'm saying? It's tight, but it's right. All right. This is tight, but it's right. I'm going to challenge you guys a little bit with that. Okay. So we got to understand that with these kids. And when we do, behavior issues go down. Not necessarily because the kids are acting better, but because we're more patient. Another one is kind of a tough one to swallow. It's tough for me to write. But we have to understand that a lot of our students, we have unequal starting points. In America, we didn't all start in the same place. Okay? We didn't start. African Americans were slaves. We did not have a fair start. And I know a lot of the times we say, why can't we just move on? Y'all, we're in an era, whether you like it or not, to where we're about to make America great again. That's the motto and slogan of our president. Right or wrong, vote for him. Please don't listen to me with political ears. Listen to me with factual ears. If I offend you, please check your heart, because I am not an offensive person. I do not mean to offend anybody. But when was America ever great for African Americans? In fact, we're still dealing with deficits from 60 years ago. And we're walking and we're teaching like those deficits don't exist. We're treating these kids like they've been taught life skills. When were we ever taught life skills? In Plessy versus Ferguson, 1896, the Supreme Court made it legal to separate black and white people as long as facilities were equal. Were those facilities equal? No. The law stood for almost 60 years, y'all, until Brown versus Board of Education in 1954 ruled that separate was not equal. Do you guys think that happened right then in 1954? Absolutely not. Even then, change didn't come easy. The Little Rock Nine in 1957 had to be escorted by the National Guard just to go get their education. Then in Milliken versus Bradley in 1974, this is almost 20 years later. Okay? Now we ain't gonna do an age checking here now, all right? But I imagine that some of our birth years are before 1974. So in your lifetime, I'm a 94 baby, I just told my age. But in your lifetime, all right, the court ruled that schools didn't have to desegregate. So after this passed, schools were still segregated. Schools ruled that they didn't have to desegregate unless they could prove intentional segregation. That set progress back again. Y'all, when we're approaching school culture, when we're approaching academics, when we're approaching behavior, we have to take into consideration that we do not have equal starting points. And when you understand the culture, then you can teach with a little bit more compassion. Because perhaps, and I think I got it up, I think I got it on the next slide. Yeah, okay, cool, I do. So let me keep pushing. What does this mean? It means that these laws didn't just shape schools, they shaped families. Say it one more time. It just didn't shape schools, it shaped families. What do you mean, coach? A grandparent, okay? A 70-year-old grandparent today. A grandparent who was denied opportunity raises a parent who struggles. Let me make it plain. A grandparent who couldn't go to school raised a parent who struggled because they didn't have an educated parent. Now that parent raises a child who is still trying to catch up. Generational trauma. Generational trauma is exactly what that is. And y'all, we have to go, again, we got to get to the root and not the fruit, because every fruit has a root. And if that fruit is rotten, it's not the tree, it's the root. And sometimes the tree needs to be placed in a different environment in order for that tree to produce better fruit. But the issue is in these school systems is that we keep the tree in the same environment and we expect the tree to produce good fruit. It's not the tree. It's the environment. It's the tree in the desert. A tree ain't gonna grow in a desert, in a desolate place. And we keep judging these kids like it's their fault that their great grandparents were in a segregated time. It's a reason why little Jaquan don't know much. Because his parents don't know much. And they did the best that they can do. And what they giving him is better than what their parents gave them. Are y'all following what I'm saying? I'm so passionate about this, y'all. If y'all can't tell. So when people say that all kids have the same opportunity, they're ignoring that not all kids have the same starting line. That's why you still see a disproportionate amount of black students in ISS and OSS. Not because they're worse, but because no one taught them how to regulate emotions, handle triggers, or talk through conflict. And I think in education, we are the desert, and the kid is a tree. Just because we are grown adults and we haven't changed doesn't mean that 12-year-olds won't change. Can I say that one again? Yeah. Just because we are adults that haven't changed doesn't mean a teenager, an adolescent won't change. They have more life in front of them than we do. So stop saying that they are going to always be like that. Our profession is a teacher, and it goes far beyond content. All right, y'all, we doing good. Oh, we doing good. I only got about 4 minutes. All right, so everybody say fight or flight. Again, y'all, just education. I know it's a lot of information, and I know it's a sit and get, but I told you at the beginning, this is an interactive lecture, so I really hope you guys are able to take something away from this, okay? Y'all, I'm teaching you something. Because, can you tell me your name again? Miss Candy, what she said was, in the hallways, oh, why they so loud? Or why they always bucking me? Why they always talking back? Why they always arguing? Okay, cool. Can I answer that question? All right, here we go. Fight or flight. It's a real response in your brain. The brain has two natural responses. But for many black students, especially boys, culture has trained them to fight. Not because they're aggressive, but because survival taught them that fighting back is how you stay safe. If somebody is pressing me, I'm going to stay safe. And that's just what I got to do. And it's not only limited to black students. I want to say that, okay? But can we please be honest? We struggle the most with this in predominantly black spaces, but no one ever touches the topic. Empowerment means that I've taught you something that leaves you feeling equipped. Y'all should, I know for a fact when y'all leave this room, you're going to be empowered. All right? Not because I told you to go do something. I said, hey, hit me up so I can come to your school. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Why? Because I empowered you. I educated you. I told you something useful that you can take back, that you need help facilitating. And there's nothing wrong with that right there. All right? That leaves you feeling equipped, confident, and ready to take action. Empowerment is not telling someone what to do and watching them obey. I sat in a lot of PD sessions this year that said, hey, here's the empowerment piece. Go do this, this, and this. That's not empowered. You're my boss, so I got to go do it. Man, that's good. I'm going to press into the A word, accountability. My mind just told me, it's hard to hold a kid accountable to something that they don't know they're being held accountable to. When their culture works a certain way, and then they come into the school culture, and then teachers hold them accountable to these standards, we want to hold them accountable to something that they're ignorant to. That was a mouthful. Yeah. Y'all, so in essence, our accountability is in vain. You can't hold people accountable if they're not taught. Accountability comes after teaching. And we have to understand that these students like the Breeze, like the students like that, just hadn't been taught. Because now what they're doing, that is their culture. That's their norm. Now remember, culture is not race. That's what they know. So now I'm holding them accountable to something that they don't know. So it takes a semester to teach them
2 years.
And then hold them accountable. The 5 blocks of empowerment. The 5 blocks of empowerment. Model it, explain it, create a safe space, affirm it, and let go. We can't empower them to have a bad attitude if we ain't modeling a good attitude. I mean, we can't empower them to have a good attitude if we're modeling a bad attitude. Okay? We have to model it, be consistent, explain, create, affirm their strengths. I love this one when I typed it. Tell them what you see in them even before they see it. That's my favorite thing to do right there. I like to speak life. I did it in Ms. Velocin. I almost made her cry at the end of the year. And I told her what she gonna get ready to do. Now, if she decided not to do it, her decision. But I told her what I saw. Regardless of age, regardless of mistakes. I told her what I saw in her. Now, she can go walk down that path or she don't got to. But I told her the truth, though. And I think we got to get in the habit of telling them what we see in them, even before they see it. And that takes a training. That takes a calling. It takes a skill to be able to look at it to a kid that's getting on our everlasting nerves and tell them and say, hey, you are super smart. You just need to learn how to put your brain into your books and not your bad behavior. Y'all, to wrap up the CARE acronym, y'all, let's read it together. We're going to read this quote. Students don't care if you can't see it. 1, 2, 3, go. Students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. All right, the C stands for culture, authentic, relatable, and empowering. All right. So, y'all, that's my time. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your 90 minutes.